P.O.C. This is LAPD flying over while I'm reviewing this, and I'm going to let you know what they're monitoring to. Flying right over my apartment as I'm pulling up something that is very, very scary to them. Okay, and this is the court documentation, which is the grounds of the the suit against the state of California, the petition that I submitted to the San Bernardino Superior Court, the same Superior Court where the light source is directly over my head at 12:47 in the afternoon. This is the courthouse where Thomas Garza. So I want you to look at his name. While the entity engages in what is threatening the life of the target individual, it directly incriminates the entity who is monitoring on the venue of the internet while I'm looking at names who are going, he's going to federal prison, like I already told you. The moment, and I'm in the specific environment, so I'll show you the light source as well at 10:20 in the morning. Remember, the light source is over me at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Courthouse right now. While the entity is maintaining a light source here, is monitoring on the venue of the internet as I pull up Thomas Stephen Garza, bar number 167014. He's going to federal prison. This is documentation of what was the state of California's evasion of service of process. And the suit that I brought into the courthouse of the San Bernardino courthouse, and the denial of the sheriff's department's statutory duty to deliver service of process to the California Attorney General on the grounds that the office is outside of San Bernardino County, which is not any grounds to deny a fee waiver recipient of the statutory right for them to do their duty. It is within their office to provide service of process, particularly to one who is a fee waiver recipient with regard to the inability, in other words, to pay the fees to provide service of process, to pay for the fees ordinarily related to service of process. The court has the ability, in other words, it's a First Amendment violation to deny the right to redress in a court on the basis of some financial inability. All right, so this is why you have these sort of provisions around. The entity is engaging in violating the law, and it's not a matter of civil damages. This entity that's group stalking by helicopter right now is engaging in the same exact criminal system that I was subject to when Thomas Garza engaged in what is a clear violation of his law, the violation of the California rules of court, the violation of the statutory duty which surrounds the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, which was within their role. It is literally a statutory obligation for them to serve service of process to the California Attorney General. And literally, as I review this on my phone, they're engaged in real-time monitoring. So as I'm reviewing this, the entity begins sounding helicopter activity. The entity begins what is showing the concentrated light above my head in my bedroom. This is the onward documentation of what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet. It is also documentation of what is terrorism. Those same demons are the ones that engage in that same conduct when I'm inside of my bathroom and my panties are down, okay? All of the entity is aware of that, intentionally intending to sexually offend you, okay? Sexually violate you while you are aware of it, amplifying that helicopter activity. That's the sex offense of that same entity, okay? They're doing so in the specific environment, keeping the light source outside of my living room window, while at this time the light source is remaining over me at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, just to document one. All right, the light source is over me during, again, daylight savings time, as I document while I am in the midst of prosecuting this case against the state of California, this entity that is still monitoring me to date. Again, all of the damages, all of the harms suffered, which are reasonably precipitating from the harms that you would reasonably anticipate. A government inflicting where it's keeping you under surveillance and then wanting to obstruct justice and conceal that, they will engage in what is abuse of their positions in the court, denying you justice, which they're bound to provide for you, while they are engaged in clear violation of the California rules of court, clear violation of the statutory duties. In other words, Thomas Garza was under a duty to require the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department to provide service of process. Thomas Garza did not do that. I continue to prosecute my state in the courthouse because it's documentation. That's why I did that. Not because they engaged in anything that they should have done, which they are required to under the laws, under the state and federal constitutions, under the California rules of court, and the statutes that surround the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. And this is all tying to what is already documented. And while the entity is engaged in federal stalking, they engage in more of the pattern of conduct, hence amplified audible activity over my apartment in the specific environment, okay? So you can see that in this specific environment, this is relevant to the P.O.C. that I remain subject to. This is the P.O.C. that I was subject to when I sought to enforce my rights against the state. And this state sought to obstruct justice, and I remain subject to the harms related to that criminal system. That's why everybody here is going to federal prison, and that's why you will be disbanding the demon-possessed. Okay, because that's also what it is. And these demons are in the courthouse, and that's why that light source surrounds me as a matter of documentation, which I've also documented the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. So understand how all of those facts are working together while they are in real time monitoring with the people of the state while they are observing what I'm doing on my phone. And these demons go into a frenzy everything that they observe on my phone. So in the specific environment, with simultaneity to what I'm reviewing on my phone, the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct flying over me, which is a communication of a threat as well. They're monitoring you. They're monitoring you in concert with the people of the state. They're monitoring also what's going on your phone. I want to be clear. Thomas Garza, as I already stated, is going to federal prison. Thomas Garza is documented engaging in what is criminal obstruction of justice. That is the also relevant to what he engaged in through his position that he currently holds in the San Bernardino Superior Court, which he's going to be relieved of that position. He and many other judges that engaged in the criminal denial of justice that you are owed under the laws. But this is also speaking to why federal group stalking and monitoring is within the jurisdiction of the federal government, because the state facilitating venues, which are the courthouses, you will not get justice from the criminal that's monitoring you and seeking to obstruct justice. And that's exactly what my documentation exposes. Okay, so this is speaking to the criminal act nonetheless. And literally my prosecution of that case where I was denied justice, which I was clearly entitled to. And it was through the outright glaring violations of laws and rules and policies and the Constitution. Okay. And why do they do that? It's not just because they're demons. Yes, they are. But I want to be clear. You're not only understanding and witnessing the pattern of conduct because of the specific environment that is present, you're also witnessing the pattern of conduct while the entity itself acting through the courthouse, they're engaged in what are clear violations all outside of the bounds of the law that they are governed by. That's also how you are understanding there is no coincidence, and it is indeed the criminal pattern of conduct intended to obstruct justice. It is currently 10:26 a.m. And as you know, so I'm going to use this. This is a perfect example, and so I'm glad this is relevant to what is federal stalking online and the criminal pattern of conduct. This is the psychopath and a sex offender that engages in the same pattern while they want to wait. That's a whole violent sex offender who's going to be relieved from their positions as a department. You're disbanding the Los Angeles Police Department. Those violent sex offenders engage in what is waiting until the moment I pull my panties down to engage in that very same criminal activity while they maintain ongoing surveillance. And at this time at 10:29 a.m., that is 2 minutes from now. It's 10:27 a.m. This video is sufficient evidence of it, but so is the one that's captured at 7 in the morning, because you know the entity is rising and setting the sun here. But nonetheless, at 10:27 in the morning, 10:29 in the morning, I'm still at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Courthouse. It is hovering over my living room window right now. And the entity is aiming impossible light activity on the ceiling inside of my bedroom window back there. But you're supposedly looking at what is the sun here. That's showing you what is impossible. Also, it's impossible while you're looking at it on its face, the sun, which is above you, okay? This is a hovering light source, first of all. It's hovering, hunkering down real low. Second of all, the sun, which is above us and shoots light at a downward trajectory, is not reaching underneath covered structures to pierce horizontally through your windows, through closed blinds to create magnified light on the wall. This is the pattern of conduct. And you also know that this isn't even sunlight, because the entity is engaging in all sorts of light activity like you see back there. What you see on my ceiling back there, this is the same impossible light here. This is the environment where police departments are stalking you, keeping you under surveillance, and they're also monitoring what's going on your phone. And while I engage in what is perusing through my evidence, it is directly incriminating Thomas Stephen Garza, who is a state actor criminally facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring. And for the harms that I continuously suffered, kidnapping on more than one occasion by this same entity that he is acting in concert with, he enabled the ability for the state to continue that. Indeed, intended to kidnap me and silence me on more than one occasion. That's why he's going to federal prison by virtue of what the LA Police Department is engaging in to date. Okay, those are long-standing damages, and he is going to federal prison, and he is done with the legal profession as well. And it's going to be a matter of public information why. Okay, it is currently 10:29 a.m. and that is the impossible maintenance of the sun over my living room window and over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 8303 Haven Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Okay, and again, on that day, June 23rd, 2022. I never came anywhere near Los Angeles. You see my documentation continued for that day. There is no point at any time ever is the sun going to be over the living room, visible through the living room, aiming any sunlight onto the floor in the living room or on the walls or on the ceiling or in the back bedroom or setting in alignment to the bedroom window back there where I'm showing you what I did on June 23rd. And it was nowhere in the city of LA. The entity kept that light source for the duration of the day, which is the pattern of conduct as well. That's why you're looking at it here. That's what the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department were engaging in on March 22nd. And let me be clear, because they're not on the grounds of Alvarado Gardens does not mean that they are not monitoring. They are the same entity. They are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Understand that. They're monitoring me to date. Okay? It is currently 10:30 a.m. and that is P.O.C. This is documentation of what is not only criminal surveillance, it is also the documentation of what is federal stalking. Again, 9:50 a.m. is the documentation, so you understand in my body of evidence when I'm referencing bathroom monitoring, that's what they're doing at Starbucks. Violent sex offenders, that's what they're doing inside Walmart when you go into the restroom and the demon possessed are pacing in around, taking their kids in to go to the bathroom. They're maintaining the elements of monitoring in the specific environment in concert with the state. That's a sex offense underway through a commercial venue such as Walmart. You're going to prosecute for that. They're sex offenders and they're engaged in criminal monitoring. That's referred to as bathroom monitoring, as I have referred to it, while the entity is kidnapping you inside of these facilities where demons are wearing badges and calling themselves medical professionals, and the people of the state are in jail with you, maintaining presence and activity creation while the entity is engaging in things such as amplifying helicopter activity while you're inside of the facilities, replete with what is the engineer light appearing inside of the facilities. They're engaged in bathroom monitoring and they will still be prosecuted as the violent sex offenders, regardless of the fact that they were kidnapping you inside of that venue. You're not going to forget that sex offense. So you maintain your privacy, and they want to kidnap you inside of the facility. That's the prosecution of that department as sex offenders, because that's exactly what they are, because that's exactly what's happening. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that this is referred to, as I have referred to it as, it's bathroom monitoring. This is going on an ongoing basis. I'm just documenting the fact that the LAPD went to, and the people of the state, they went to the extent to amplify helicopter activity with simultaneity to literally my panties being down and them acting out being the sex offenders that they are, because they are listening to me expose the fact that they're violent sex offenders. I am literally the leader, and they do exactly what it is that I say. They are doing what it is that I've told you, and as I speak to it, as you see the light activity increase as I speak to it, as you see them go into frenzy as I speak to what they're doing, the demon possessed do as I say. And I am not any leader of, I'm not some wizard. I'm subject to their criminal conduct, but I want to be clear, the demon possessed are obsessed. This is obsession, and they are so psychotic, and it's to their own demise. But as I expose what they're doing, they do more of it. That is the public safety concern that exists. Okay. Again, it is currently 10:32 a.m. and this is P.O.C.